Good morning, you lot. What a lovely Monday morning. But today is not any ordinary Monday. It's a bank holiday Monday. That means no work. Only a few people will be at work. Not many. And I've got a lot of requests. I tell you what, the demand is very high for what I'm going to show you about the tuning of a petrol engine on an RC car. The demand is high. I wasn't going to do this until I can get actually out and show you in live real time. Well, not live, but you know what I mean. Tuning and how the engine will react and everything like that. But the demand is high. I've had a lot of messages saying I want to go out on the bank holiday Monday and I want to tune my car, but I don't know how to do it. How do you do it? So I thought, right, I'll just do this kind of video instead for now. I mean, I can show you on the bench what to do, how to do it, and what the effects will be anyway. You just won't be able to see it. So let's have a look. First of all, what you want to do is you want to get yourself a nice flat-headed screwdriver like that. This is my typical tuning screwdriver. This is the one that I use for tuning nitro cars, petrol ones with a little screw on them, chainsaws, generators, lawn mowers, as well as RC cars. Because don't forget, these are the same engine which are pretty much on all strimmers and things like that, chainsaws, etc. So as far as this is the carburetor, as we all know here, and we have 3 screws of which are important to us as the drivers. So this one down here, the big one with the spring on it, it's difficult to get to with this roll cage here, but you can get to it from this angle like that there, and you can get in there like that, and you can turn that. You might need a bit of a bigger screwdriver than what I've got, but this one is the Tickover screw, and you can see that because this plate thing here is the throttle. Okay, so when you push on the throttle, that will move and that will open up. That will move. And what the Tickover screw does, it's got a little point on it. I don't know if I can. No, I can't get the camera in there to show you. You might just be able to see down there that little bit of a point. Can you see that little bit of a point? Now that rests on the throttle, or the throttle rests on that, I should say. So the further you turn this screw clockwise inwards, the higher the Tickover will be, because it will push the throttle open. The more you turn it anti-clockwise and the screw comes out, the Tickover will be lower, because the throttle will be able to close further. Hopefully we've got that sorted out. Now you have here 2 needle jets. Now they're upside down because the carburetor is actually mounted upside down on this engine. The primer bulb, which is here, should be on the bottom usually, but because these ones don't have any float, it doesn't matter what way you mount them. If this carburetor had a float, it wouldn't be able to be upside down. But that's the beauty of these ones with the diaphragm rather than the float. You can put them in any orientation you want. So because they're upside down, that means that the high speed needle is on the left and the low speed is on the right, which is unusual, but because it's upside down. You can see that there is a H and what looks like some weird letter, but it's actually there. It's actually an L, which is upside down, again because the carburetor is upside down. So this one here is the high speed, and that one there is the low speed needle. These you will need to treat in the same way you would treat a nitro car or in any other jet. Basically, you turn them anti-clockwise, they come out, and that makes the engine richer. If you turn them clockwise and they go in, that makes them leaner. So do this pretty much the same for all petrol cars. What I normally do, there's probably loads of different methods out there, different people do different things, etc, etc. But what I do is I like to mess around and play around with the high one before I play with the low one. It's the way I do it. Because if you've got it running nicely, because it's just on the factory settings, and it's blasting around pretty well, if you're going down the park or whatever you're doing, just get your screwdriver. Don't mess with the low speed one yet. Get your screwdriver on this high speed one and just give it like this. Watch this, ready? Just go like that. Half a turn you lot. This is a petrol engine. It's bigger. You can play around with it in more increments than a nitro. Although I still do turn nitros half turns in one go when I'm initially tuning, but a lot of people don't agree with that, but that's completely fine. So just give that half a turn on the high speed. Give it another blast and then see what happens. It should go a little bit quicker, and then come back to it again and just give it another half a turn and see what happens. But you don't want to be going, that one won't go in any further because I've already tuned mine, you see. So I'm going to have to back that one back out. I was about there, wasn't it? The reason why it stopped is because it won't, I've already tuned mine, so it won't go in no more. I'll have to retune it later, but that's completely fine. So yeah, just keep doing that. I mean, if you don't want to do half turns, you don't have to. That's the thing. There is no you must do this. It's, you can either turn it a half a turn and see what happens, or you could turn it a quarter of a turn and see what happens. You could turn it eighth of a turn and see what happens. I wouldn't turn it a full turn, because that'll just go too far and then you'll be like, oh, why ain't it working? So, and the thing is, everybody seems to panic around tuning. Oh my god, what if I get it so lean? I'll damage the engine. You won't. What'll happen is, if you turn that needle too far, you'll pull away and it'll be alright because the low speed one hasn't been touched. But then it will start to just go as if it's running out of petrol. And then, you know, it won't accelerate. It'll sound like, a lot of people describe it as bogging, but it's not bogging. Bogging is when it's too rich and there's too much fuel for the engine to cope with, and then it will bog down. When it's too lean, I don't really know what to call it. I don't really know what the term is, but it won't accelerate. You know, it might pull off and then it will just go bob, sound really deep and won't have any power. In that case, you know that you need to come back to this high-speed needle, because that's the last one that you adjusted, and give it a turn outwards to richen the mixture up slightly. Now that's the way that I do this. Once I've got the high speed where I like it, or more or less where I like it, then I'll come back and I'll go to the low speed needle. This one won't need as much of an adjustment. You'll just get to that and you'll just go bloop, like that. Probably a quarter of a turn, or maybe you might get to half of a turn, and it'll be perfect. You'll notice a bit more acceleration. You notice it won't be as slow to accelerate, and it'll get onto the high speed needle. It'll go, you know, there'll be like a little bit of a power band once you start getting the low speed tuned properly or well. And then you know that you're getting there, you're pretty much there. Now my advice to you lot, this is my advice, is don't get caught up too much with the tuning, because a lot of people, they're always tuning, they're always going, oh, the tune's not quite right, I've got to get the tune right, I must get the tune right, the tune's not right. They go out and they start blasting around and doing whatever, but they're spending all their time trying to get that tune right, and every time you talk to them, the tune's not right, I can't get the tune right, the tune's not right. And I just think to myself, for God's sake, it's running, ain't it? It's not boggy, it's not lean, leave it alone, just play with it. Just forget about, throw the screwdriver in the river, get rid of it, and then just carry on with life. So don't get caught up with all the tuning stuff. You know, tweak it and things, but just, once you get it running well and you're happy-ish with it, or happy with it, or whatever, leave it alone. As far as the Tickover goes, I have mentioned in some previous videos about some people like to run high Tickovers. I mean, you can run whatever Tickover you want. You do, if it's too high, you'll wear your clutch out quicker, because the clutch will always be trying to grab. It'll always be on the verge of grabbing. And it'll always just be, if you're leaving it there for a minute while it's warming up, it'll always be trying to grab, and it'll be wearing the clutch out more. So you want a nice low tick over, really low. Don't worry about any lubrication, because the lubrication is in the petrol. Can't believe someone said to me, the lower the tick over, there's less oil. No, it's not. Piss off. You know what I mean? So it's not a 4-stroke, it's 2-stroke. So get the tick over as low as you can get it, where it sounds like it's on the verge of conking out, but not quite. And it's just there. It just sounds nice. It sounds comfortable. It's sitting there. It's just ticking over nicely. There's no stress. It's just a lovely day. And you'll find that this high speed and the low speed and the tick over screw will work in harmony together once you get them adjusted to a reasonable adjustment. And you'll know when it's there, because the engine will sound happy on tick over. You know, you'll just be able to leave it sitting there, and it will just be going. It'll just be there. It won't be sitting revved up, going, and as if it's on edge and panicking. It'll just be sitting there. It'll be relaxed, and that's how you like it. That's how we like it. And you'll notice that you'll be able to leave it sitting there, and you'll be able to just punch that throttle, and it will just go like that. It will just go off. If you left it ticking over for a long time, like a minute or two, it might have a little bit of a bog where there's a bit of oil built up, but that's completely normal. If that happens when you go to accelerate and there's a lot of smoke coming out and it's like, there's nothing wrong with it. The tune's probably okay, but it's just a nature of 2-stroke, because the oil is in the petrol, and if it's ticking over, the revs are low, and there's not enough suction, you know, in the crankcase to suck the oil up into the combustion chamber when it's ticking over. So the oil starts to settle in the bottom, and you know, while it's ticking over for any length of time. And then when you do rev it up, the RPMs increase, and the suction in the crankcase increases, sucking up the petrol into the combustion chamber with all of that oil which has built up, and that's why it goes boggy, and that's why you get a load of smoke. It might go, you know, really slow and just sound a bit iffy. Don't panic. That's completely normal, 100% normal. If you blast around a few times, it'll clear it out, and then it'll go back to normal, and it'll be absolutely fine. But I hope that's helped some of you lot for this Bank Holiday Monday. I'm going to get this video up ASAP this morning. I'm a bit late this morning. The time now looks 7:41. So I dare say a lot of you lot are probably already out, you know, blasting around. But hopefully I'll go and get this video edited and put it up now. And hopefully the ones of you that wanted to go out on this lovely Bank Holiday morning because you're off of work, you'll be able to go and tune your engine, and I will when I get time. I can't do it today, but I will. I've got to order some screws and that from RC Models because I lost them, as you all know. I didn't use the thread lock. Gave you the perfect opportunity to tell me off in the comments. Once I get the screws and everything to hold the front end back on again, I will go down the park and I'll do an actual video physically showing you how the engine reacts when it's too lean, when it's too rich, when the tick over is too high or too low, etc, etc. And that way, those of you that might be wondering, you'll be able to see and realise that there is no trouble. You know, these are nothing to be scared of. So I'll catch you lot later on. All the best. Enjoy life. Love each other. We're all the same. Ciao for now.